All right, check. Looks like this mic is on. Who's here already? Nobody. Yay. All right. Just waking up here. I keep trying harder and harder to organize, and things keep running away from me. Sorry. I know some of you guys are so good at this. All right. May as well start. Welcome to Evidence-Based Audio number 182. And this one is, I am basically a dumbass, but I don't think that's anything I got to tell anybody here. You probably already know. But you know what? One thing that I try not to be is a Dunning-Kruger. I like to know that I'm a dumbass. And so when I am above my pay grade, I want to know that. I want to know that I don't know, rather than thinking something wrong. If somebody can come and show me that I'm wrong, that's somebody I need to thank, because then I don't need to be wrong anymore. But anyway, let's get to what we're here for today. Let's see what that is. So first of all, let's see, are we getting the, yep. So if you've been following along on the FR thing, we've been doing the full range flat response, which is pretty important to like guitar modeling, amplifiers, things like that. And if you remember my old series on bringing the studio to the stage, having a full range flat response setup could make things a lot easier for you. A lot of people will swear it will. I could see reasons why some people might not think so, but basically you're trying to have the equivalent of a studio monitor out on your live stage, so you can pretty much get the same sound you got in your studio out on the stage. Full range flat response setup would help do that. There's a lot of these out there. Basically, they're PA speakers. There's a guy named Hammett. He's always on Glenn Fricker's show. He had one video where he said, hey, basically these are PA speakers. And he's right. Most of them are. And there's nothing wrong with that. PA speakers may or may not be meant to be flat. But one thing that they generally have is, at least a full range one's going to have a tweeter. And without a tweeter, you look at your studio monitors. Chances are you got a woofer and a tweeter in there. And that's how you reproduce that wide range of sounds. And you might say, well, a guitar only goes up to a certain frequency. You don't need to worry about that. But, when you're talking about these acoustic simulators and things like that, where you don't want to hear a speaker, you're going to want that tweeter. And I found that I get closer to a recorded guitar sound, even a recorded guitar that was recorded from speakers that didn't have tweeters on them. I find I get a closer sound on a modeler with tweeters, or on a modeler setup that includes a speaker with tweeters. So anyway, Celestion has made these. There's a lot of FR speakers out there, but again, basically you're okay with just using a PA monitor or a PA speaker if you want, but the monitor is kind of shaped a little bit easier to deal with. But for those people who really just want a traditional guitar amplifier, this F12 X200 from Celestion. There's a couple other speakers we've talked about on here, but basically this is a coaxial speaker. I think it's, do we call it coax if it's, I know there's some terms about different types of tweeter Wizard Wave guy. I don't even know. But the tweeter's in the middle of the speaker, so they're in the same spot. You don't have to drill another hole and stick tweeters in. It looks just like a regular 12-inch guitar speaker, except for it has a tweeter in the middle of it, and that's really all it is. They call it full range live response. I don't know what the hell about that, but basically this one's a 200 watt 8 ohm speaker, 12-inch, fits right in any old 12-inch guitar cabinet. But if you're not using a speaker simulator, an IR or whatever you want to use to simulate a speaker, it's going to sound like a horrible fizzy mess, but for what it does it real well. So anyway, I've been using, I gave a try of taking an old cabinet, an old amp apart, throwing away the guts. I stuck one of these FRFRs in, and I put in this Harley Benton GPA 100 power amp, which we talked about last time. Really, it's supposed to run on 230 volts, but there's a little solder pad inside where you can change it to 120. Seems to be working fine. I got to try it at band practice last night, and I gotta say, as far as I can tell, it's nowhere near as loud as the 100-watt Fender Mustang, which I have the exact same speaker put in a Fender Mustang Fender Mustang 3 V2, which is a 1x12 100-watt 8 ohm guitar amp, and I have it running through the effects loop. And that thing is ungodly louder than this GPA 100. They're both supposed to be 100 watts. The Fender is way louder. I mean, way louder. But the GPA 100 was keeping up. I wouldn't have trouble using it at a show. It was loud enough, but I just got to tell you, the V3, the Fender Mustang was way louder. So I was thinking, you know, if I got two of these speakers and I just really wanted to do a 2x12, maybe I want to do stereo or whatever, what would be a good donor amp? And Fender has one called the Mustang 4. They have current ones, the Mustang GT or GTXers or whatever. I don't think they're currently making a 212. They had one, but these were 4 ohms. And so you might end up with a lot less wattage per speaker. Whereas the Fender Mustang 4 V2 was 150 watts, so you'd end up with 75 watts a side. And it is a 212 cabinet. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be stereo on the way out. I'm almost positive. Maybe not, but I think it is, because the effects returns left and right. I should go look into that. Line 6 had a Spider 4 150, which is another 212 cabinet. Or 212, it's pretty much a closed back as far as I can tell. Looks like there's a little open slit, but this guy doesn't have an effects return, and a lot of these Line 6 amps didn't. But it does have an auxiliary input, which should be stereo. It's 1/8 inch, unfortunately, but you might be able to do something about that. I was just going to put a different jack if I was going to use it. Maybe drill it in there, which I guess would destroy some resale value, but I'm kind of okay with that. And Line 6 has a catalyst as well, but it's not stereo on the returns as far as I can tell. I think it's a mono amp. But there's probably some other good donor amps if you want to do a 212. If you want to do a 112, I would just say no-brainer to get a Mustang 3 V2. That thing was stupid loud, and you will have no problem keeping up with anything with that thing, I wouldn't think. One thing that I was really not clear on is measuring speakers, you know, so I have a lot of trouble understanding number of speakers versus what kind of SPL it's going to put out. But I mean, what do we care about is the sound pressure level, right? So I had this calculator here at hometheaterengineering.com, and let's punch some numbers in. So, and I've double-checked this with some other sites. The F12 X200 has a 97 decibel sensitivity, 1 watt, 1 meter, which is scary to think how that works, 1 watt and 1 meter. But let's say that Mustang 3 V2 has 100 watts, and I'm going to say let's just go 3 feet away, 1 meter, right? And I'm going to say one speaker away from a wall, and I'm going to calculate it. And so what we got here is 117.8 dB SPL, okay? So what happens if I were to take that same power and put it into two speakers? So I'm going to do 50 watts, and I'm going to do two speakers. So right now we're at 117.8. Now here's with the two speakers, same amount of power, it's just being divided by two speakers. And I'm getting the same SPL, allegedly. All right, but for that Mustang 4, it's going to be 150 watts. So let's say it's 75 watts per channel. And now we're at 119.5. It looks like a 3 decibel, maybe 2.5, somewhere around there. Theoretically, like a 3 decibel gain. So that's double, 3 decibels up, right? That's like doubling the power on the amplifier. And it doesn't seem like much, 3 dB SPL, but it can be a lot. So that's what I'm thinking. If you had a 200 watter, so much the better. Like, what are we going to get at 100 watts a speaker? 120 something decibels. So I don't know. You want to make it stereo, it's probably worth it. But if you guys know of some good donor amps, let me know. I mean, I'm talking for 212s. With 112s, I tell you that Mustang is pretty awesome. There's a lot out there. The GPA 100 isn't as loud as I would have liked, but it's loud enough. But if you really want to see how this is going to work, this speaker calculator should be pretty good. HomeTheaterEngineering.com, SPL calculator. Or just type in SPL calculator. Okay, so something that I've always kind of been confused about, and it's crazy because, I've pretty much been a guitar tech my whole life, right? But sometimes things just don't click with me. So I want to look at how exactly your volume pot works on your guitar. And so we're going to look at how you would normally wire one of these things. Let's see. A Mouser one. Here's a StewMac. Let's go to StewMac. So you have thanks a lot. Have an input coming into one lug, output in the middle lug, and ground on the right hand side. And I've got let me see if I can put see what we got here. Turn off the right monitor, turn on the GoPro. Here we go. So I have a dual ganged pot. This is a stereo pot I was using to fix these. That's the problem with the Mustangs, by the way. They have a nasty volume pot. But you can replace it. It's kind of a pain, but if you can find the right one, then you'd be set. Anyway, this is dual gang, but we're gonna ignore that. I'm gonna plug in a multimeter, and we're gonna see how this guy reads. So, show you. I'm gonna change this to ohms, and we're gonna see if these little alligator clips work. I haven't tried these yet, so I'm gonna put it on the center one, and it's hard not to hit the other two from here. But if I put it on the center one and the one on the far outside, the way this thing's wired, and this is a 50K pot, so this is a little, it's not quite what you'd normally have on a guitar. You might if you have active pickups, actually. How does this thing work? Well, I'm trying to pop the, there we go. Just want to see this numbers. So I'm, with it all the way up, like your guitar would be turned all the way up. The resistance here, I got 1.1 ohm. Basically, this thing's open. So this is all the signal from the guitar is flowing to the middle terminal out to the output jack of your guitar. So let's say this is your pickup lead is coming in on the on this red wire, and the black wire goes out to your guitar, right? Now, if I turn it all the way down, it's saying 47K. This is a 50K pot, basically. It's supposed to be anyway. So this is within 20% tolerance, I would think, maybe even closer. So the maximum resistance this thing makes, it's not that it completely shorts it out. I think a lot of people think when you turn your guitar volume all the way down, you're shorting, or you're making an open circuit, so there's no signal at all flowing between your pickup lead and the output jack. It's not true. there's 47 kiloohms of resistance, but it's still going. Turn it the other way, it's back to the 1.1 ohms, okay? Now, there's another thing to consider. So, while you are, let's say, all the way up, and turn it all the way up, so there's only 1.1 ohms resistance, or it should be 0 theoretically. I'm going to show you, because remember, the other side of this terminal is normally wired to ground, right? So when I put this lead on it, we're going to measure it. I'm getting 47K, okay? So even with the guitar all the way up, it's not that it's not going to ground. It's not that the ground's not connecting to the output. It's just that there's 50K theoretically resistance between the guitar signal, the pickup signal, and the ground. So it's still going to ground. It's just that it's 50K away. And that's when you see you got a 250K pot, you got a 500K pot. That's what they're saying. And that's why, if you're wondering, like, why does the treble bleed off, you get the higher and higher value pots. I mean, the question to me is, why not just leave it open? And that's how I have my guitars wired normally. I actually have my guitars on a push-pull pot. So if the pot's down, the volume knob is completely bypassed. It's not that there's 25K, 50K, whatever going to ground. Nothing's going to ground. It's the entire signal that's going. I don't understand why we don't use these as rheostats. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know what it is. I heard always that, if you run the signal that way, it's going to be a horrible treble mess. I've never found that to be true. But this is how these things work. So I still wonder why not having a rheostat. And the reason this is coming up is I want to find, there's a lot of these cheap wirelesses. Let me grab some of them. You have like these Lakato. There's a couple other brands. There's Joyo. There's a bunch of these things. They're cheap. They're like $30, $50 for these wirelesses. These things work awesome. I know everybody says these are cheap junk. I've sadly found them to be more reliable than some of the most expensive wirelesses out there, which is also what we're going to talk about. I've got Relay G50, G30s, some others. And a lot of times these things don't have trim pots. So loud pickups like your EMGs or your Duncans or whatever, they'll distort. And so I was thinking, how do we fix that? Do we put a trimmer inside the guitar? Do we solder in some resistors inside the guitar? What do we do? And I just want to get it out of the way. Of course, there's going to be some dumbasses when you ask this kind of question. They're going to say, just turn your guitar volume down. Well, it doesn't work that way, right? Because in the heat of the moment, you're going to find the fiddly little thing that's the perfect guitar volume. No, we got to find a way to either make the thing quieter, put a trim pot inside these things, which they should have come with, but for this kind of money, they don't. I'm not even sure I could fit one in here. I was trying to get one of these apart the other day, and I couldn't. I was thinking maybe put a resistor across the terminals here, something. So I asked some questions of everybody, and let's see. So Timothy Gray had some good stuff. One guy says install lower output pickups. Okay, that's a dumb idea, but I mean it would work, right? Jason Rice says, what about putting a mini trim pot right before the jack? You can stash it in the control cavity, gives you fine tuning while still remaining fully functional on the normal knob. That is a good idea. Now, I'm worried I might blow some impedance problems, but with the active pickups, I don't really worry about it that much. Now, Timothy Gray gives the picture of a passive attenuator, how you could do this. Maybe throw it inside a cable, be done with it. And I was thinking, some of the wirelesses have a cable that attaches to the transmitter. You could go stick some resistors inside there, maybe make a trim pot, whatever. And you can see these attenuator pads. I think this is the one you call an L pad. So the the output of the signal is going to be at the joint of two resistors. One resistor will be connecting the signal to the ground, and another resistor will be actually in line. I still don't understand why I can't just put a resistor in line. Is it going to heat up too much? Why bother with the second resistor? But I'm sure somebody could explain that to me one of these days. So Tim says, 2 resistors and done, make yourself an attenuator cable. And so I said, I always, it was asking about guitar pots and things, but so I say, even at full volume, say a 25K pot is still going to be going to ground as well, but there'll be a 25K resistor in the way, right? It's never completely open from ground and completely shorted to the signal output, which we confirmed with the measurement here, right? So I ask, what would happen if you operated as a rheostat and didn't hook up the ground wire? Would it still attenuate? What would the issue be there? Why hook up the ground at all? I still wonder, why hook up the ground at all? Is this a reason? I mean, maybe only for passive pickups you have to, but I don't know. I would really actually like to know. If somebody knows, why hook up the ground at all? At least on an active guitar. And I didn't really get an answer from that. But let's look at a couple more things. One way maybe to handle this problem was the height of the pickups. Now, EMGs, active pickups in general, I think, but definitely EMGs, they have a much smaller, I think, weaker magnet than you would normally see on these on a pickup, on a passive pickup. Sorry. Because these things have preamps in them, they're going to amplify the signal. They don't need that much signal strength, but so you can put the pickup very close to the string without, seeing the string getting pulled on by the pickup. And they're saying to put it really close to the string. And so when I look on EMG's frequently asked questions here, how do I adjust the level of my active pickups? We suggest starting with the 3 millimeter distance to the strings when fretting the last fret and then making small adjustments to your preference. Raising the pickup will increase the output and lowering will decrease the output, just like a regular pickup. Keep in mind that different pickup models will adjust different as you raise and lower them, so we encourage some experimentation to find the perfect height for you. For balanced output, a bridge pickup is usually set higher than a neck pickup. And if you ever wonder why that is, think about the rotation of a string. It's going to have a tiny rotation at near the bridge, and it'll be a slightly wider rotation near the neck. Let me see. I know my gestures are probably not all that helpful right now. I also say for a balanced output, or for all pickups, the bass side is commonly set a little lower than the treble side to compensate for the difference in string mass. You may need to adjust the gain and volume on your amp as well. So I don't know that lowering the pickup will solve the distortion problem with the wireless. I think, putting a trim pot in there or whatever, putting a trim pot inside the wireless, I mean, the better wirelesses, the more expensive ones, I think a lot of the Sures and stuff, they do come with trim pots. I've sent a message into line 6 to see if there's any kind of hidden like trim thing on the relays. I don't think there is. And I don't know 100% that it is distorting. I'm getting some Rice Krispies and some problems with the relays, but I think they weren't really distorting compared to a cable. Whereas the Joyo, the Locato, the X5, some of these cheaper ones, they do. And I really like the form factor of these things. You don't need to wear the stupid belt pack, which I can't stand. You don't need really much on the receiver side either. You just plug these things in. It's so convenient. I don't mind because I have a pedal board to have the receiver plugged in, but I do hate the little pouches and belt packs and all this junk on the wireless. I can't stand them. They're always such a pain to me. So actually, I'm thinking of even just putting a clip back onto these things. We'll see. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so I don't know. Is it lowering the strings? I don't think it's going to work. It might work with this. We'll give it a try. Um, let me say over at the gear page, I asked about this. I said the chip shortage really put the crimp on wireless offerings, and now even Shure is quitting the popular GLXD models. That seemed to be the guitar wireless everybody was talking about, the GLXD 16 or whatever. So far, Boss seems to be holding on, but I have no idea if theirs can handle louder pickups. Most of the ones I've tried cannot handle the level of decently loud pickups. I have the Line 6 G30 and G50, but they distort from the louder DiMarzios or most of the EMGs. The Joyo, X-Vive, X-Vive, whatever, Locato things are still for sale everywhere, but they really can't handle even moderately strong pickups. What choices do we have right now? And, some people are saying, well, why use an inferior wireless? But there's reasons why I like these wirelesses, not just because they're cheap. They're you don't need the stupid belt pack or body pack or whatever. And this guy, Nick, was really explaining about the different wirelesses, took some pictures and really explained some stuff. But when you look in these things, let's see, the Shure SLX1, you got to switch between mic 0 and minus 10 dB. And the minus 10 dB should be enough for any old active pickup, I would think. I'm not looking for much. And then some of the other units had trim pots in them. I think the AKG did. Some of the other Shures. But the Boss WL60, which a lot of people are recommending, doesn't seem to. I couldn't find a trim pot. These things do have this thing called like cable tone, which is supposed to simulate the high end loss from running a guitar cable. I haven't tried it. Maybe we'll give that a try in a second. I do have that on the G50. I like the sound of wirelesses better than better than a cable. So I don't know, but generally I can't tell the difference. But kind of if it's any treble boost at all, I think I want that. And so Nick, who did provide all this information, doesn't think that the WL60 is going to need the trim pot, and he thinks it'll work, but I'm not so sure. But let's see if we can't find some things today. So one of the things I did, let me find it. Sorry. Went to Honolulu today and got some goodies. Give me 1 second here, sorry. Sorry about that. So I actually got a couple things. I never really used one of these before, these little solder cleaning things. I keep seeing people with these on the internet. Looks like a great idea. Instead of using the old sponge, just to use this as a scrub for your solder tip. And we don't have a Radio Shack anymore, so I have to go to Sand Island, but we'll see how this works. I don't know. Does it even stuff in here right? I'm kind of scared of this thing. Oh, sorry. Oh boy, I do not want that. What's that? And just in case we try one of those Line 6 spiders, I got an 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch adapter, but I needed one of those around here anyway. Got myself a solder wick because, man, this has been killing me. Sometimes this is just the thing to use. But main reason I'm talking here is we got a trim pot. And if you haven't seen these before, you'll see them in some kind of electronic gear. Very small. Don't know that I'm going to be able to get much detail on here, really. I'm still looking for cameras and stuff, you guys, if you know. In fact, let me turn off this light and see if this helps. Oops. Help any? So it's 3 terminals. There's no shaft on this one, but it does have, it's really hard to see. There's a little screw right here on the edge. And this, that's how you turn it up or down. So it's meant to be set and then left in place. You're not turning it all the time. So you would set this to whatever value to that you wanted to attenuate by, and you would leave it there. And luckily, I emailed EMG, and I said, the wireless it's busting through the wireless. What can I do about it? I don't think I should be lowering the pickups because according to your frequently asked questions page, that's a problem. But he says, do you have a master volume control on the instrument? If so, you could perform an experiment with the volume pot unmounted to see what resistor values might work for this attenuator. Keep lowering your master volume until the wireless unit can handle the most aggressive playing and the neck position, if applicable. That makes sense, because the neck pickup's going to be louder, right? Usually, if they're at the same height anyway. Without touching the pot any further, disconnect it from all solderless connectors and take a multimeter reading across all 3 lugs. That will reveal which resistance values translate into the perfect amount of attenuation for your transmitter. Awesome idea. From there, I can assist with planning a hardwire scheme for you. Having photos of the wiring would help too. Let me say, listen, everybody out there, whatever company you're from, some of your companies like RME, you guys are already knocking this out of the park. But holy crap, this is what you call tech support. This is absolutely why pay the extra money for EMGs, because this is the kind of tech support you get from EMG. This is absolutely awesome. I couldn't ask for more. Absolutely awesome. There's Poo Ninja, nominal expected input gain. Yeah, what the hell's nominal expected input gain, right? Like if they're used to a Fender Strat with some single coil pickup with no output at all, yeah, I'm sure that wireless works fine. But so I wrote them back, how when I know the value I want, do I want to bleed it across the signal in the ground terminal or just put a resistor in line with the pickup leader output signal? And that goes back to my question. Why hook up the ground at all? Because, magic number for every application. If I just stuck a resistor in line, what would happen? Is there really a problem with just putting a resistor in line? At least for these active pickups that you don't ground the same way. I don't know why I couldn't just put a resistor, but it's okay. So he gave me a little schematic deal. I know it doesn't look like much, but the idea would be to solder in place a fixed voltage divider using 2 discrete resistors, which add in series to 25K, placed between the master signal and ground. The output tip connection on the jack will be taken at the node between them. And so basically you've got a little resistor network here. The master volume's output from the pot would go to one resistor, and the output of that resistor would be both connected to the output signal that's going to your jack and also going to ground. And he's saying, measure the pot, and I know what value those 2 resistors are. But instead of doing that, how about I just take a trim pot? And I probably should have gotten a 50K. I think I got a 25K. I probably should have gotten a 50K, but I have a feeling this 25K will be enough. Just get a magnifying glass on here real quick. Let's see. Yeah, it says 25K. I probably have 50K pots on my pickups, and I'm kind of a dumbass for getting the 25K, but I'm not driving back to Sand Island, and I have a feeling that this is more than enough. But let's do some couple experiments here, and so I asked him, could I use this trim pot instead? I'm pretty sure I can. Says, yeah, same idea as the full-size potentiometer. A fixed path with through-hole resistors would be the most stable, of course. But a trim pot in the cavity isn't a bad way to go if you think you may need to adjust it at any point down the road. And I really think that these trim pots aren't going anywhere. Let's master volume mastering pot adjustment inside. Exactly. Because the way I wire mine is my master volume is normally bypassed. And I mean completely bypassed. It is not going to ground. It's not going to anything. the pickup lead is going right out to the output. No potentiometer at all, unless I pull up on this push-pull pot. When I pull up on it, it becomes a normal volume pot. So, in fact, I could even make it a circuit that this thing goes into the circuit when that's pulled up or pushed down. But I think I'm just going to put this in full time. But we'll see if I even use this. So let's make a couple experiments here. I kind of want to fire up my soldering iron just because I want to see how well that the little thing works. Oh, I forgot to buy a sponge. I was there. But I think people don't use the sponges anymore. I think people are using these little whatever thingamabobbers. Just get my soldering iron hooked up here. You know, if we could just use this thing for the rest of my life, I'm kind of good with that. So let's. I don't know if I'm gonna need to throw my guitar up here or not, but I'm gonna plug the guitar in and I'm gonna do a couple little tests first. Well, like, you know, people were saying, hey, why use this cheap wireless when, you know, use these more expensive ones, you won't have this problem. Well, that's not true. Some of them don't have trim pots. The Line 6 Relay G50, which my first one that I had broke on the second use, so cost 10 times as much as this thing. Actually, no. Cost 10 times as much as this one. This one's $50. It's like $500 for one of those G50s, I think. Where it was the last time I checked. Let's look at some prices here, actually. G50. If they're available. Oh yeah, it looks like brand new, $450. All right. These things are $50. These things are $30. But anyway, so now I've got a compressor on there, and you can kind of hear it working, but I'm going to flip on this wireless so you can have an idea of what that's like. And there's not just one problem here. It's not just the distortion, but the audio LED is definitely going red on this thing, unless I turn the volume way down. But I'll show you what it sounds like. There's another problem with some little Rice Krispies. That's some sort of interference or something, but you hear that crackling? But even if that wasn't happening, like if it's not distorting here, I'll flip up my guitar volume pot. So whatever that weirdness is still happening. But let me just play the guitar compared to with the cable. Yeah, whatever that little interference, it's a. I don't like it, but you know what? Playing live, I think it would be fine. But I like to record with the wireless. I don't think I would record with this one. But it's definitely clipping. It's not super bad, but let me. I'm gonna try this cable tone for the first time in my life here. So we're gonna see how this works. Let me. So I got to get a light on my. I am so glad to hear from EMG. That's really, it's really good of them. Let me turn this cable tone thing. So right now it's off. I'm gonna turn it on all the way. It's like, I think it's supposed to soak out your treble or something. Let's try it. All right, so it's still going red. Whatever that interference, though, is gone. Let's see if we can't just get rid of that interference just by changing the cable tone a little bit. Yeah, so it's on the very first click now. It's like supposed to be like 5 feet or something. Let me see what this is. I can't see it from here, so I'm gonna look at I'm just gonna look at some pictures of the Relay G50. Just want to see. I guess I can't see the cable tone from here. I can see it if I look at a picture. Sweetwater. Yeah, see, these things are out of stock everywhere too, which is a problem. And I think that's really why the Shure is gone. Is that same thing? So I have it on right now. It's the first click, which is, let's see, it says feet or meters. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, so this is 5 feet or 1 meter or so, I guess. So let's see if this gets rid of those Rice Krispies. Wow, that's worse than it being off. Click this a couple more. So there's 2 clicks, so this is like 10 feet cable. It's so weird. What is that? I mean, it sounds like it's part of it. Here's 15 feet. I don't know what that is. So, let me go to 30 feet. When it went to the whole top, which is, what does it say? 100 feet or something like that. It was definitely. Oh yeah, see there, it's gone now. No, it's still there a little bit. You know, this is not what a long cable feels like to me. Here, let me put it on 20 feet. So this should be what a 20-foot cable. Okay, so that says that's how dull a 20-foot cable is. Let's plug in a 20-foot cable real quick. Never mind that the 20-foot cable is not going to clip. I don't know. That sounds a lot brighter to me than the 20-foot cable tone simulator thingamabobber. I don't know. I don't think I like this cable tone thing. I don't need it. I'll put up with these little noises here. I mean, I'm not thrilled about it, and I'd love to figure out what it is, but... Oh, man, you see that? It's like dropping out. You know, maybe they're just having trouble with the transmit and the receive besides the distortion. So let's try another channel here. I don't really remember how to do this, but try. Try the very first channel here. And let's see if I go to the unit here. I should probably just pull it out of the thing. I'm gonna put a clip back on here. Okay, it says I'm on channel 3. I'm gonna change that to, how do I gotta hold it for setup. Okay. Let's just go to channel 1 real quick. You could go through all the channels. Okay, I told you channel 1. That seems to be dropping out even worse. Okay, let's try a different channel. Let's go. Seems to have, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 12. Okay, so this has 12 channels. So let me go to channel 6. Okay. Change this thing. It's got a little pain where I have it set. Okay. I guess I really need to find some place where it has all 3 buttons going. I mean, I'm right next to this thing. I should have no trouble reaching. I'm like 5 feet away. All right, anyway, we're going to deal with that later. I'm going to take this wireless out, turn it off, and I'm going to try these other ones. And I got to get in the other room and start cleaning up because there's some other problems to deal with. I don't think I'll be soldering today on the air. We'll see. I'll go look for the cleanest channel later on. Let's plug in. Let's try this Lakato. I think this should be charged. And this is as simple as just plugging it right into the amp and going. Ooh, you know what? I think I left this guy on, and it is, yep, I got to charge this one back up. So never mind the Lakato. Let's hope I got some power on this Joyo here, because these are both having the exact same problem. Turn it on. That's going on. Okay, so these are both on. So this is the receiver. I'm just going to plug this straight into my Helix, the same way as the Line 6 was. But I'm telling you, this is so convenient. Okay. Plug the other end into my guitar. And that's really all there is to it. It's amazing. And no stupid body pack. But listen to that. Just totally distorted. So I'm going to start turning down the guitar volume. Now, there's some kind of hiss and stuff that comes with it. There's definitely... I think that's changing the tone. It's definitely taking out all the volume. I mean, listen to that. I'm distorting the crap out of this thing. Now, my friend's got a Gibson Les Paul, and he had these plugged into it. Sounded great. I wasn't going to complain about it in one bit. Sounded awesome to me. And worked well for him, so that's probably what it's going to be for passive pickups. But I really wonder, am I running my EMGs too loud? Is that the problem? Do I have them too high up? What is this thing? Just to stick at the table? That's interesting. So let's just put the guitar on the bench real quick. I don't think I'm really going to wire in one of these trim pots, but I could. Might talk about that next week, but I might be getting off here in a second. There's kind of a little bit too much going on. Ooh, what did I do with, I had one more thing. I actually bought myself a little pick from, almost a dental pick from the electronic shop. Well, I'll find that later. So let's pull a pickup card out, or the, you know, height action card thing in the bobber. What did I do with it? I just had it. Oh, it's gonna, yeah, I wanted to have it handy so I didn't have to look for it. So here it is. And this is the one that came off of one of these $30 Amazon guitar repair kit things, and it's really a good one. In some ways, I like it better than the bajillion dollars 2 Mac one that I got that was like 60, 70 bucks. This has a little bit more useful information on it, and they don't sell you one for metric and one for standard. That it does both. So I'm gonna put this on the pickup here. So they're saying, you know, start at 3 millimeters. I'm actually a good bit closer than that. So let's just see. Let me set this how they say to set it. I normally set these things so close to the strings, but I'm gonna bring this down. Let's just see. So I'm just holding the card on the side, and it may be that this thing. Oh no, it will go low enough. Let's get a stronger screwdriver here. And it'd be interesting to see if that line 6 distorts with this set this way. So I know you can't really see it, but it doesn't really matter too much. You know what I'm doing here with this card. Okay, let me check the bridge side, or the bass side. So this has got to come way down compared to the treble side. So let's just say if I make the treble side 3 millimeters, I'm going to make the bass side 3¼ millimeters. Oh, man. Sorry, I'm just getting too many calls today. Hold on. All right, so I'm setting the neck pickup. I'm going to set these more like how EMG says, and I'm going to see how that actually ends up working for me. I'm not sure that's going to be great, but we'll see. Now, if we're going to listen, so I lowered this pickup down to where EMG says to start. You can hear it's still distorting. And it's really gross Rice Krispies as well. Let's check out this neck pickup. Okay, so I'm a little bit curious to know what this is going to sound like with my regular playing with the pickups at this level. So let's take a look at that. Remind me to charge everything up. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to take a look and see if this takes the red light out of the Line 6 relay G50, or if it's still going to go red light on me. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, red light's still coming on. And still that weird interference. I have a feeling, let's see, if I take... Yeah, what the hell with these dropouts, man? I'm right next to the thing. There shouldn't be any dropouts here. That gives me, like, no confidence. Alright. Okay, so that's that question. So, lowering the pickups is not the answer. Let's see what this does to the playing. That may have been just a wasted trip getting these trim pots. I don't know that I'm going to throw these in the guitar because it doesn't seem to help the main problems anyway. But it could. So I'd be glad that I have them. But okay, what's the problem here? Not hearing anything. Why is that? Did I plug into the wrong thing? I had another problem where there's like a ground issue last night too. I just moved the cable around. I moved the cable around, shook it and stuff, and then all of a sudden it kind of worked. I'm getting every call in the world while I'm doing this. Get off for a second. Just all right, why am I not hearing anything? Oh my god. Oh, something weird's going on here. This is kind of what I was hearing last night. Oh, I wonder if my... I wonder if this cable's going back. Last night I was having trouble with this one jack. Oh boy. Okay, well we gotta fix that. I wonder if having a set like this means I can take the pad off. Let me see what this neck pickup. Nice. Let me just see real quick about taking the pad. Might have to change a lot of things if I do this, but just want to see if global settings, guitar pad in. I'm gonna turn that off. And let's see if this is any worth. Well, I definitely might need some different noise gate settings if I do that. Let me see what the acoustics like. Oh yeah, it's still turning red, so I'm gonna turn the pad back on. It wasn't quite enough to get the pad out of the equation. Okay, so back to that. Anyway, I think we found out a couple cool things today. You got to see some of the troubleshooting and back and forth to tech support, and got to see just how good EMG's tech support is, which is absolutely awesome. But that's gonna be it for now. I'm gonna, oh yeah, here's my little pick thingy. No, that's my tweezers. That's, oh shoot, did I buy the wrong thing? That's okay, I could use two of them anyway. Anyhow, I'll be back next week.